I am. We're live. Welcome to the Lakers Outsiders. I'm the technological outsiders. My computer just doesn't want to keep up with me. We are fortunate enough to be joined by Hoops Habit and B-Ball Breakdown's Shane Young. Shane, you are based out of Indiana, and we are obviously going to talk about the Roy Hibbert experience. That's going to be coming shortly. But aside from all of that, and David West turning down $11 million to get out of Indiana, how are you holding up?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty decent. Only reason is because Rodney Stuckey re-signed, and the team doesn't look like a total turmoil. So they look like they could push for the playoffs like they did last year, and in the Eastern Conference, who knows? But thanks for having me, man.
Anytime, anytime. And then we're also joined by Harrison, still in his murder room.
I hope your laptop bursts into flames in Vegas, like it actually happens.
It might. It honestly might. If it does, it'll be because I poured gasoline on it and lit it on fire.
Yeah, I mean, we could do that to celebrate like the end of covering Summer League.
Yeah, mic drop. Like I mentioned earlier, the Roy Hibbert deal went through, or it looks like it's going to go through. The first thing I wanted to touch on is with all the leaks that kind of go on throughout the league, Woj is as plugged into the NBA as my laptop is to my wall. It's trippy. I mean, everything that happens, he's able to leak it. He even wrote that tiny mea culpa about why he's going to continue to leak the draft picks and he doesn't care about ESPN. What do you take away from the nothing really aside from Hibbert coming to LA being leaked on this deal, Shane?
I think it's just a combination of nobody really cares who that other player is. It's like after it's all about the Roy Hibbert salary dump, and anyone the Pacers get in return is pretty much a bonus because they're getting rid of the $15.5 million that Larry Bird wants to just try to get more speed and more athleticism into the roster for this year for a run. And I think that if he gets Nick Young, it's going to be a laughing disaster. But I think that it's the combination of that, and then you don't really have a lot of choices like Nick Young, Ryan Kelly, Robert Sacre. It's one of those three guys I would believe. So I just think that Indiana will be fine if they get any of those guys.
Right. And Harrison, I mean, are we gonna wake up one morning to a scathing hit piece by Woj on why the Lakers are such a terrible organization?
It could definitely happen. It seems to happen when from people that maybe he's not getting leaks from or whatever. I mean, I don't know. His columns tend to go pretty hard when he does write them, so you never know.
Yeah, he brings that ether if you don't give him a leak, man.
Yeah.
But all right, so we talked about that. How about the actual Roy Hibbert experience? You've been plugged in, you said, for about 3 years. What should Lakers fans expect from the big man?
The definition of Roy Hibbert these days is going to be major ups and downs. You're going to get really, really good times where you're literally watching Lakers games and you're thinking to yourself, "There's no better rim protector I've seen on this team in quite a long time." And then you're going to have other games where you're watching and you're like, "How is this guy 7'2" getting 4 rebounds, not being able to finish near the rim?" And he has Kobe screaming in his ear. So it is going to be ups and downs. And I say that he's going to do exactly what he did the last 2 years that I've covered him on the Pacers. He starts out monstrous, like averaging maybe 3 or 4 blocks per 36 minutes. He's averaging a lot of blocks per game, getting a lot of deflections, stopping a lot of people from even testing him at the rim. And then later on during the season, I don't know if it's that he's so not out of shape, but just not athleticism or just not athletic, and he's not fit for the full NBA 82 grind that he just gets worn down, or he loses his confidence after like 3 or 4 bad games in a row offensively, or it's just that Vogel was trying to go smaller last year, and that really hurt Hibbert in his minutes and his and getting up and down the court. So I think Byron Scott is, as crazy as it to say he's a good coach for him because, Byron Scott he's obsessed with defense, although they didn't show it last year. And he's just very persistent when it comes to big men trying to find their role, and I think that's what Hibbert needs right now.
It makes a lot of sense. And Harrison, to kind of, I forget where I read the report or where I read the article, but in terms of the actual counting statistic, I could see Hibbert being frustrating as a rebounder, but I've also seen that, in his area, he's very good at blocking off a bunch of people so that, other guys can get rebounds. That almost seems ideal because the Lakers might want to run.
Yeah, I mean that's a lot of the same stuff that I've read when I've been reading kind of scouting reports on him and watching like a little bit of film myself. Is that like you said, he's very good at boxing out, and I think other teammates will come in and take those rebounds. Like I remember 2 years ago when they had Lance Stevenson, there was kind of that minor little storyline for a while of teammates were upset with Lance at stealing their rebounds and things like that after they would box out just to get his own statistics. And so yeah, I think it might be one of those things where yeah, maybe he's not a great rebounder, but maybe he's just boxing guys out and letting other guys get to the ball. I don't know. Do you get that sense, Shane? Or
I get the sense that whenever a shot goes up, he is one of the very best at turning his attention to trying to get the rebound. It's just that other guys are faster. Other guys have that quicker second jump. That it's just kind of like Julius Randle. Randle has a quick second jump that he can get so many rebounds because he's not the tallest guy. He's not really the biggest guy, but he is always there and he's always at the right place at the right time, and he's making the effort to go after that second rebound or that third rebound. So I think that Hibbert just doesn't have that in his legs. His legs are very, very slow, and it's one thing that frustrated David West. I remember one game, West was talking after the game in the locker room about how he was like, we didn't box out, we didn't have that extra effort to go up and get the rebounds, and I think that he was kind of talking about Roy. So Roy's good as the initial kind of guy, rebounds within 5 feet, or rebounds within like 2 or 3 feet, but anything outside of that, chasing down balls, etc., it's going to have to be Randall. It's going to have to be a lot of burden on Julius.
Yeah, I think.
Oh, go ahead.
Probably the best description I saw of Hibbert's movement style was I saw someone describe him as he plays like he's wearing a suit of armor. And I was like, you know what? Just from watching him on national TV and stuff like that when they play the Lakers the last couple of years, yeah, I bet that's a pretty good description.
Cool. The Lakers acquired the mountain.
Yeah.
But it's better than starting Robert Sacre. It just is. So.
That's a very good point. And the next little thing, I mean, we talked about the on the court stuff, but how about off the court? Have you spent much time talking to Hibbert? How is he as a guy?
You know how everyone in the Lakers locker room last year was pretty much outgoing, fun to be around. They carefree, didn't give a bleep. You know how that's what they were. I mean, Nick Young, Kobe, all of them were just unfiltered. Roy is the opposite of what Hollywood would expect. He is very, very quiet. He's not confident. He's very, very shy when it comes to giving the media what they want. I remember in Media Day last September, before the season started, he said, I'm not going to answer any of y'all's questions. It's just going to be shut up and play ball this whole season. I'm just going to shut up and I'm going to play ball. If you don't like it, talk to Larry. That's what he told us right there sitting in the presser. So he's not going to be a very good teammate when it comes to trying to get stuff from them after the game, before the game, trying to get reasoning. He just, if he plays bad, he just chalks it up to a bad game. He doesn't talk about what he needs to do better. And I think that if anybody knows Kobe, just from listening to his remarks after the games and stuff, I don't know if that's a good combination.
I'm so nervous now thinking about the Kobe Hibbert dynamic. Harrison, am I crazy here, or
no?
I think Hibbert might be murdered by the end of the season.
I mean, I think, yeah, I kind of doubt he's going to be murdered, but you never know with Kobe.
He could visit you.
Yeah. Yeah, so I get the sense that relationship is either going to, like, it'll either be good for Hibbert, like maybe it will like light a fire, like the same thing with Byron Scott. Maybe all the criticism and kind of guys going at him will light a fire under him, or he'll just start to tune it out and just be like, you know what, F these guys, like I'm just going to ride it out and leave here at the end of the year, otherwise known as the Dwight Howard.
Yeah, I will say one thing, though, that Roy Hibbert throughout his career has never had a passer like DAngelo Russell. George Hill's a fine player. He played in one of the best passing systems in San Antonio. but he's not. He's just not a gifted passer. He's kind of like too big for the point guard position, kind of in terms of length and stuff. So you can't really find the great passing lane and everything. But DAngelo Russell is probably the best guy he's going to be able to play with.
So do you think that will lead to an uptick in Hibbert's field goal percentage? Because I know that's been a big talking point about his game is, oh, you're 7 feet, you shoot, you're only shooting this percentage from the field, and yeah.
Yeah, because George Hill and Paul George, to some extent, could only get him shots around I'm going to say about 8 feet, 9 feet, that little jump hook that he likes to do from farther distance than you would want. So I think with DAngelo Russell, you have a lot more passing options. You have a lot closer opportunities. I think you see Roy Hibbert's restricted area attempts go up maybe 50 or 100 this year. You see a lot of them.
Well, I actually really like, it's obviously different because Hibbert is nowhere near as explosive as DeAndre Jordan, but I kind of liken it to the Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, top of the key kind of pick and roll where either Chris Paul is going to make a great decision to find Hibbert a really good, or in this case, DAngelo Russell will find that opportunity, or Julius Randle, who showed for long stretches last year an ability to make that second pass off of that pick and roll to the big guy. The floor plan or the game plan is right there. It's just a matter of execution, in my opinion.
Yeah, and we just have to know how fast the Lakers are wanting to play this year, because last year was a 14th in pace. That's above league average. I don't know if Roy is going to diminish that, and in the Western Conference, you can't afford to play slow. I don't know one team that plays slow and succeeds in the playoffs.
Yeah, the closest is Memphis, but the Lakers don't have Marc Gasol and Zach Randolph, so
yeah. I mean, it's really interesting the way that they've constructed their roster, because you have Kobe and you have Hibbert, who are not going to want to run, but then pretty much everybody else on the roster is an athlete that's like ready to get out in transition. So it is going to be interesting to see how rotations are managed and like how the starters play too, because you would expect the starters to be like Hibbert, Kobe, Russell, Clarkson, and Randall. Or at least I think that would be most of our Laker fans' hopes.
Right.
But then you have Kobe and Hibbert who just don't want to run, and then those other guys can really get out. So it is going to be interesting.
Really quick, what's the latest on Wesley Johnson? Did he land anywhere? Is he still available?
He's still available.
Last I heard, the Clippers were interested, which would make my life. Like, if they want to pick up Carlos Boozer and Wesley Johnson, I'm all for that. Speaking of the Clippers, and we're gonna let you talk about the rest of the Indiana's offseason here. But speaking of the Clippers, Lance Stevenson obviously went to Charlotte last year. Now is a Clipper. You have David West vacate the premises for $11 million less in his bank account. And then obviously we talked about Roy Hibbert. You guys have Paul George coming back. Aside from all that, what are you guys looking at next year?
A very, very smaller lineup, and it's been overstated. Everyone's been talking about how slow or how fast and uptick that Larry Bird wants to get in that offense. But I don't know what Vogel's going to do, because Jan Mahimi is good in his minutes. He's good with 18, 22 minutes a game. He's not going to be a good starting center, and that's all they have on the roster. I mean, Mahimi, Shane Whittington is the guy that. He's a guy that they picked up in the second round last year. Not many people know about him. He shoots the three ball really well, and he's an athlete. So, I mean, I think that with Myles Turner there, Myles Turner's been a beast in Summer League. So I don't know what to expect from this. I don't know if he's going to be out there for starters minutes or what, but I think it's a given. George Hill, Paul George, Monte Ellis, those guys are going to get up some shots. And I think the centers are just going to have to play defense. The big guys are just going to have to be able to be good roaming defenders. And the Pacers will be lucky to have a top 10 defense next year because of the losses of their front court. But if they do, I think Vogel deserves a lot of praise right there. So
a Nobel Prize.
Yeah.
Well, you're going to trade for Robert Sacre, Defensive Player of the Year. So he'll deserve some credit, too, for that breakout campaign in Indiana.
Man, and to see his towel waving and his cheerleading on the sidelines is going to be.
Hey,
good.
it's gonna affect those corner three shooters.
Well, I'll tell you what. You mentioned watching Roy Hibbert, and you would sit there and wonder, how is this guy 7 feet tall? Robert Sacre takes that to a whole nother level.
Man.
I would watch layup lines there basically during for parts of the for stretches of games where it's just Robert, are you even standing out there? Robert, do something.
It's sad, and the crazy thing is the Pacers could be in a good position right now if Justice Winslow fell one more spot. If Justice Winslow fell past the Heat, I know he plays kind of the same game as Paul George, maybe a little bit smaller, but I think that would have been a great addition. But Myles Turner, he's proven everybody wrong. I wrote about how Turner's probably not ready for starters minutes, and the Pacers could be a very, very good athletic team next year because of him and Paul George.
I actually, I actually really liked Myles Turner coming out of Texas. He just played on a crap Texas team, which that's been the case with a lot of prospects coming out of that university. Thanks a lot, Rick Barnes. But no, he's more of a 4/5, right? He's not more of a 5/4.
Yeah, he's a 4 at heart. He can step out. He has a better 3-point shot than any of the Pacers big men that they've had in the last few years. Besides Donald Rudesh, who barely gets minutes, but yeah.
Right. I like that fit there, and then between Jan Mahimi and Robert Sacre, it's just don't screw up the rest of the lineup.
I know, and depth. You have to wonder about Luis Scola. He's 35, about to be 36, and I don't think he has much left. I mean, he's kind of faded out in this league. I remember being before I was a writer, a big hardcore Lakers fan, watching him in Houston, killing our hopes and dreams at some games. I mean, it would be terrible. And now he's just faded out into the sunset. So, I mean, he's a restricted free agent, I believe, or unrestricted. So, I mean, he can be picked up, and I don't know if Bird wants to do that for depth, but.
Wait, you brought up one of the fondest Laker memories of all, though, right? When Derek Fisher lit up Luis Scola. I'm not sure Scola's ever been the same, right?
Just loud him after he tried to set that ball screen. Yeah, it was bad.
That was incredible. So yeah, I guess that kind of brings us. That's hit everything on my end. Harrison, can you think of anything else that you want to bring up?
No, I think we pretty much covered how Hibbert will fit and that kind of stuff. So yeah.
I do want to ask you guys about your honest opinion about Jordan Clarkson, because people on Twitter have been giving me crap that I think that Clarkson will be the best player on the team next year. I really think that this guy is destined to be a great player. And last year I did this stat on Basketball Reference. I have a chart. He's one of the few rookies to a certain criteria, but he fits in there with Kyrie, Dwayne Wade, Magic, those rookies that have that same PER, true shooting, and assist percentage criteria. So I mean, he's going to be good, and he's really young, and he was very, very doubted coming in.
No, I think it's entirely possible that at the very least he ends up being the best player on this summer league team. That just because of the amount of NBA experience he has, I think that he's just so much more ready than the young guys. I think Russell and Randall are obviously still have a higher ceiling, you would think, potential wise.
Being younger.
But yeah, they're younger. Clarkson is he's kind of hitting his growth window right now, and I think I don't think that that's totally out of the question.
I really like Clarkson. The knock on him last year was the looter and the riot theory, but he played efficiently. There were stretches. He won me my fantasy league, so shout out to Jordan for that. But I really like his versatility that he's going to bring, and he already mentioned yesterday to Serena Winters and everybody else after practice that he's gotten stronger and he feels more comfortable shooting the three. If he and Russell can both knock down that spot up three while the other has the ball or handles a pick and roll, that's a really fun backcourt. The Lakers haven't. I wrote this. Who did I write it for? I think I wrote it for Lake Show Life. That this is the most fun backcourt the Lakers have had since Nick Van Exel, Eddie Jones, or Nick Van Exel, Kobe Bryant. We haven't.
That's sad. And that's pretty sad. But yeah. they didn't need a backcourt. They didn't need a great point guard to win a championship. I mean, you call Fisher great, but he wasn't very, you get the point.
Right.
But I mean, this is fun.
Right. It's you said it perfectly. It's going to be a lot of fun. I wrote yesterday, actually, another shameless plug, but I wrote yesterday for our site, for Lakers Outsiders, that
So you
the
know
Lakers...
which site this one was for. You can actually tell people where to go to actually read this stuff.
All right, so the first one wasn't as shameless. But the Lakers have made this distinct transition away from Phil Jackson and the triangle, right? They could have very easily drafted Jahlil Okafor. They could have had that front court of Okafor and Randall, which is a very good triangle offense front court. But instead they said, you know what, we're going to go with Russell. He's a better player, they thought, which I think was a due diligence thing more than a we hate Phil Jackson thing. But still, it's going to be, they said we could have played slow, but instead we want to speed up. And you see, aside from Kobe and Hibbert, there's a whole bunch of really good athletes on that team, and it'll be fun if Indiana increases their pace of play, and if the Lakers increase their pace of play. You're going to see the entire league shift to this run and gun style. I'm all for scoring, right, Shane?
Oh no, and the thing is, I wish this team was in the East. I say it every single year, but I would love to see their win total this year. This year in the East, just to see where they can land, just to see if they're really, really a bad team, or if the West is just really hellish. So I want to know, what do you think? I mean, right off the bat, the roster's not even completely set, and we still have a few months left. But are you thinking 30-ish wins, 35?
That sounds
40?
fair. I wouldn't go anywhere near the 40s, but I'd be fine with like a 35-win season. That's what 14-game increase from last year.
Yeah.
So I'd be perfectly fine with that. I made the stupid mistake of listening to Charles Barkley this morning, and he said that because the Lakers aren't going to make the playoffs, that the Hibbert trade doesn't make the team any better. It's like, Charles.
Did he mention that Hibbert couldn't give them 20 and 10 and average a double-double?
He said all kinds of things, and
let me tell you something, Kenny. Let me tell you something, Arnie. If you don't average 25 and 10 in this league, you're not good.
Exactly. See, first of all, like 5 points later, and then first of all, we're about up against the clock here. Thank you very much for joining today, Shane. Thanks, Harrison, for carving time out of your carving people. I enjoyed today. I look forward to having Roy Hibbert, and I look forward to this new look Indiana team. I think that's going to be a lot of fun, and the league is a lot more fun with Paul George in it.
Yeah, a lot more fun.
We didn't talk about him, but it's going to be good to have him back.
It will be. Him and Monte. I mean, Monte's not the most efficient scorer ever, but that's going to be an explosive, tandem between those two.
If you guys ever want me on to discuss mid-season how it's going to go with Indiana, then I'll be on.
Oh, we have you right at the top of our Indiana list. We have you above Jacob, who I believe is from Indiana.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
All right, guys. I'll talk to you guys soon.
See you, man.
All right.
Yeah.